feature after additional feature, and so on. This is called scope creep. So what should you charge? The fixed rate model is what I most often use with my service-based clients because it allows me to complete work quickly and maximize my earning potential. To minimize the disadvantages of this model, I'll spend extra time understanding the client's needs, outline a clear project scope within the contract, and notify the client that any out-of-scope requests will be billed at my hourly rate, or better yet, at an additional fixed rate. Fixed rate projects can range anywhere from completing a simple task, like providing a short consulting call to help solve a client's immediate problem for $250, to a full-scale marketing campaign with an e-commerce website for tens of thousands of dollars. The price you quote depends on the type of work you offer, the time commitment, the industry, the client, and your experience. But to give you an example, I will charge anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000 for a one-to-one digital marketing service, which might include marketing strategy, meetings, website development, sales funnel design, email marketing strategy, copywriting, social media marketing, and paid advertising campaigns, and so on. You get the idea. So how do you choose a fixed rate? Do you just throw a nice number in the air and commit to it? No, that's an excellent way to get laughed out of a room, shoot yourself in the foot, and look inexperienced. There are several crucial factors you need to consider when determining how much your fixed rate for a given project should be. Consider the type of solution you're providing, the size of your client, your base hourly rate. See the first model to determine that hourly rate. How long a project or deliverable would take to complete. The value you're providing the client, the level of pain and urgency you're relieving. Low pain equals a low value solution equals a low priced service. And how much the project or working with the client will benefit your business. Here's a basic formula to help guide you. And also within the workbooks and in my pricing calculator for consultants, we go deeper into calculating your fixed rate depending on the project. But as I said, here's just a guideline formula to help guide you. A, your base hourly rate. So let's use our rate of $120 per hour we determined in our first model. B, the length of project in hours. Let's say you estimate 10 hours per week at 8 weeks, so 80 hours. C, the typical budget of the solution. So what's the going rate on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being low budget and 10 being premium. And these numbers, we're going to translate directly into percentages. So if you said 10, that would be 10%, and so on. Let's say for our example, our typical budget is a 7 of 10. So add 7% markup. Again, these numbers are just based on as guidelines, not necessarily golden rules, or I like to say guidelines, not gospel. So you are free to change the markup percentages and how you do this, but this is a guideline that I'm providing for you. Now D, the size of the client on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's go with 2. So add 2% markup. The reason why you'd want to consider the size of the client is, well, different clients have different budgets. And if you're working with a small client and you're charging them a rate that you would charge a massive corporation with a multi-5-figure budget, you're going to scare off your small client and ruin your reputation as you're growing your business. And on the other side of the coin, I've done this in the past, where if you quote a huge client with a small budget, they are going to think that you are not experienced, you're not able to complete the task, or you're just delusional. I once quoted a WordPress project. I was designing and building a WordPress project. That was the task. And I quoted something like $4,000 for the project. I was told by somebody at the company who happened to be a past colleague of mine that he's confident that I'll be able to complete the project, but if he sends that quote to the boss, the CEO, they're going to say, who is this low-level small fish that can't handle this project? That's clearly they don't understand what we're working with. They're not experienced enough. Or are we paying for something really cheap? The reason why I said that is because they had other agencies who were quoting for that same project in the ballpark of $50,000, $60,000, and $70,000. So if I go in with my $4,000 budget, they're going to look at me as inexperienced. So I promptly tripled my price and asked more in the ballpark of $15,000, which for them was still very budget, but still enough for them to realize, okay, it's just a smaller agency. E, the level of expertise provided. Is it a generalist type work or is it specialized? Generalist work would be more in the ballpark of 1 to 5, and specialized work would be more in the ballpark of 5 to 10. So let's go with 8. So let's add 8% markup. F, the level of pain or urgency. 1 being low urgency, 10 being high pain and urgency. Let's say 7, so add 7% markup. G, how beneficial is this to you and your business? 1 would be career changing. This would open up a new can of worms for me. 10 is no benefit at all. It's just a project and some cash. Let's say 4, so 4% markup. Add all of the percentages together. And in this case, in our example we just used, we're at 28% markup. And finally, in the formula H, what are your project expenses? Let's go with $1,400. So here's the formula put together. A times B multiplied by C plus D plus E plus F plus G, which are your markup factors, plus H equals your fixed rate. Putting that together, we get $9,600 times 1.28 plus $1,400 equals $13,688. Let's round that up to $13,700 as our fixed rate. And now that's just a ballpark figure. That's just us doing a hypothetical example. I encourage you to jump over to that pricing calculator for consultants in the workbooks and resources of this module, and you'll get a much better idea of how to put together your fixed rate. Plus, in the calculator, I have it split out to show you the low end rate, the recommended rate, and the high end rate for every single pricing model. So let's wrap up the lesson here to give you some time to consider what you've learned so far. And in our next lesson, we're going to jump into some more pricing models. See you there. Top tip number 1. If you want to talk numbers, you got to wear a fancy jacket that you spent too much money on, which is why you've got to charge higher prices. If you want to get big prices, you got a big... Top tip number 1, how productive they'll be. You got to look like James Bond.